Welcome in, Digibyte community. I am the Crypto Bull God, and in today's video, what we're going to talk about is where I see Digibyte going in the shorter to midterm range here over the course of the next several handful of weeks. There are charts that are starting to look juicy, and that's what we're going to get into. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Drop me a comment. You gotta subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live every single weekday on All in the Charts. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. You can even find me on Instagram and TradingView. It is one word. It's right here. Whoop. Crypto Bull God. Just a quick disclosure that none of what I'm sharing with you is financial advice. I'm simply looking to educate and to help others through sound technical analysis. We're all big boys and big girls, so we can make our own personal financial decisions. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to examine three charts here. We're also going to utilize CoinMarketCap to build my hypothesis of exactly where we're going to see an initial bounce coming into Digibyte in the short to midterm here. So let's first take a look at the 2-week USD chart for Digibyte. Almost said Bitcoin there. For Digibyte. Okay, now this is a chart that we've looked at before. You can see that while history does not repeat, it often likes to rhyme. I pointed this out in my prior video and have spoken about this on YouTube as well in my last video. You can see since the publication of that last video, we broke above the descending line of resistance. We have since back tested that area as support, which is quite common. And now you can see we're beginning to bounce up. The other thing that's important to keep in mind is we've double bottomed. Again, I have created three broad categories of altcoins in terms of from the strongest to the weakest in the following order. Strongest, we have created a higher low in 2023 relative to 2022. The second strongest category is this formation, which is a double bottom, and then the weakest is creating a new low in 2023 relative to 2022. Okay, so we've double bottomed here, we've back tested the descending area of resistance, and now we're beginning to bounce. And you also can see I have a key moving average, the 10 simple moving average, that typically when we move above it, we see strong reactions in price, okay? There's a higher probability once we get above there that we will see a stronger reaction in price. You can see it's not 100%. We moved above it here, we didn't see a strong reaction in price. We moved above it here, we moved above it up here, okay? So it's not 100% of the time, but it's another moving average we can use to say, hey, strength is coming into the price, and there's a really solid likelihood that we're going to see some follow through, okay? Also depends on where that moving average is at. If it's sloping down, that's a lot differently stated than if it's flattened out here and we're moving above it. The other thing that I want you guys to pay particular attention to if you're looking at the 2-week chart, take a look at the MACD. Despite the fact that we moved up in price here, okay, the MAC, and we've since fallen down and created a double bottom, the MACD has continued moving up. When this MACD on the 2-week crosses above zero and we get a bullish cross, history tells us, and I've highlighted this, we can go way back in the history of the chart. That's one of the things I really love about this chart is that there's a ton of history here. Whenever we've gotten this MACD cross above zero, you can look at price when that has happened, okay? Look at price, look at price, look at price here. We've seen significant movements to the upside. The other thing we need to look for is for an RSI cross above this orange moving average here, which we're starting to get. You can see if we zoom back in history, you can see we had a little bit of a fake out here before we ultimately crossed above. We got a little bit of a cross here, got a little bit of a fake out, and we went back below. Now we're starting to cross up again. And the other thing I would point your attention to is the stochastic RSI. Okay, again, this is measuring the relative strength and momentum within a chart. And you can see here that the stochastic RSI is above 20 and we have a bullish cross. Next chart I want to take a look at with you. Actually, I want to take a look at this chart. This is a 3-week chart. Again, we're in a falling wedge pattern here, just like we were here. Falling wedge and a breakout. Falling wedge, you can see the double bottom. Are we going to see a breakout? Tried to put on a new indicator on this chart to try to look at something differently. This is what is called the log MACD, a little bit of a new indicator that I discovered on TradingView that I tried to put to work on this chart. One of the things that I would point out on this chart is typically when you see a change from red to green. Okay, look, red to green, big move. Red to green, big move. We have since gone from red to green. Are we going to see a big move soon? We will have to be patient and see. Now, this chart, I am really digging what's going on here on the Digibyte BTC relativity chart. Now, I have taken this chart and multiplied it by a value of 10,000 because the value of Digibyte USD is much lower than the value of Bitcoin USD, so it helps to put these numbers in more of a sensical fashion. Couple things going on here, and we'll take a look at a different time frame so that I can highlight this. This is a two-week chart, Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. We'll actually see that in this time frame we have a falling channel. If we go to a higher time frame, you'll actually see that we have a falling wedge. But the thing that I really wanted to point out here is look at these purple circles. These are historic lows here that when we have hit this Satoshi value down here, okay, when we've reached this relativity value down here, strong bounce. We reached the bottom down here, strong bounce. We have not touched this level since 2017, where we saw a monumental jump in the value of Digibyte USD. We have since basically touched this level. Could we fall further? And could the relativity value do something like this? Absolutely. It could come down here before we start rising. But very important to note that what we've done here is essentially touched a relativity value that we have not touched in 6 years, okay? And when we've hit this value, we've historically bounced off it and done a monumental move in price. Couple other things I wanted to point out here on the RSI 2-week. We're all the way down here at 29.5. All the way down here at 29.5. And so we really need to see for some strong reaction in price to get up and above the 46 to 52 area. Another thing I wanted to point out, the MACD. We're getting closer and closer to getting above this zero trigger line. We want to get above the zero trigger line. We're getting closer and closer to that value. One other thing, and then I want to build the case in terms of why I'm expecting specifically a 400% move in Digibyte in the coming, I would guesstimate and say somewhere between 4 to 8 weeks here. I'm going to say within the next 4 to 8 weeks, we are going to see a 400% move in Digibyte. Digibyte is sitting at a market cap ranking of 169. Look at its market cap value, 132 million. Okay, 132 million, right? Now, when Digibyte has made large moves on the USD pairing, it has jumped in market cap ranking all the way up into the 60 to 70 ranking when I did a historic view back on big moves. In the past several moves, it's gone all the way up into the 60 and the 70 ranking. Now, there's a lot more competition now. Okay, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies that are bidding for value. Okay, so let's say that when it does make its big move, it only moves up into the 80 spot. Let's say it moves all the way from 169 up into 80, because I absolutely see Digibyte climbing back into the top 100. There's no question in my mind about that. I have zero doubts about that. Let's say it jumps all the way up to the top 80 ranking. Okay, the top 80 ranking would mean that it has a market cap ranking of approximately, assuming that there are no other movements within this market cap ranking here, that would be approximately a 4x move from its current market cap ranking. That would take it from about 132 all the way up to 520. So it would stick it right up in this top 80. Okay, again, assuming that the market stays stagnant with no moves and Digibyte does a 4x, right? It's more likely that we would see some movements up within this area here, which would mean if Digibyte went all the way up into the market cap ranking of 80, its market cap would actually exceed a 4x. But I want you to keep that 4x in mind as we go back to the USD pairing chart, okay? There is a major, you can see I have a few major areas of price confluence here. I have 0.927 cents. I have 1.8 cents and 3.3 cents. 3.3 cents is a major area. Once we start getting candle body closes above 3.3 cents, you can see there's not a ton of price confluence above this area. Okay, there's not a lot of price confluence above 3.3 cents. So once we can start clearing 3.3 cents, that's when things will get juicy. But what am I speaking to here? I think there will be an initial bounce up, some sort of a bounce up, consolidation, and continued movements up. And why have I picked 3.3 cents? There's a couple reasons why, okay? First off, 3.3 cents does represent an area of price confluence. Secondly, if we measure the fib retracement level, we can see that it takes us the 0.5. I want you to pay particular attention to the 0.5 fib retracement level. The 0.5 fib retracement level takes us to 3.3 cents, which lines perfectly up with this area of price confluence I've identified. Now, if we go back in time to the last correction that we saw after a major move, okay, we can see here, okay, when we dip down to the beer virus lows, look where Digibyte topped out at. We went all the way up here and topped in this range right here. We initially saw a move up to the 0.5 fib retracement level. Ultimately, then we continued moving up and battled the 0.6 to 0.702 fib retracement level for many, many weeks. Okay, and the 0.618 fib retracement level is known as the golden ratio. So ultimately, it wouldn't surprise me to see us battling around the 5 cent area. But initial move, I see the Digibyte BTC Satoshi ranking here, the relativity value. I see this bottoming out here. I see that there is momentum beginning to pick up. We're at a falling wedge with a double bottom, okay? And if we hypothesize that we could see an initial bounce up, so long as momentum continues to sustain itself in the market, we could hit a similar fib retracement level as we saw back here when we had our beer virus lows, okay? Make sure on Wednesday that you watch the video that I'm going to publish on Bitcoin. Guys, you know that Bitcoin is the driver of value in this market, okay? And I have two main views on Bitcoin going into the halvening. That is going to factor into when we could potentially see this move in Digibyte and subsequent moves in Digibyte. It's also going to factor into just how strong of an impulse ultimately we could see on Digibyte. And I will plan to put out a video later in terms of where my ultimate price targets are on Digibyte. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you click all notifications to know when another Digibyte and other crypto videos go live. Guys, also give me some support on a daily live stream. I go live each and every single weekday covering all of your TA questions. If you ever want any updates on Digibyte, I'm live every single weekday, Monday through Friday, so you can tune in for that as well. But don't forget about the Bitcoin video coming up on Wednesday. All right, everybody, I hope you appreciated the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, spread awareness, and let's all carry the education forward.
So what you gonna do, fiat dollar, on crypto bull guy and his crypto maniacs and the entire cryptocurrency market run wild? Oh.